Last week, we talked about productizing your services. No, I don't mean the actual work, not the actual pen to paper, but how you deliver your drawings, how you set up your meetings, how are you branding those, how are you branding your discovery calls, and yes, it should go along with your business cards and your logo and your brand colors and all that. But how are you branding your services? Well, this week we're talking about productizing and branding the work itself. This week, I'm pleased to have Tim Brown of Brown Architecture and Perch Plans on the show. Stay tuned. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Fellow and future Profitex, hello. How are you? Welcome to the show. Very excited for this week's episode. I came across Perch Plans several years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and what stuck with me was how curated the collection of home plans were. Yes, for sale on the internet, click to buy. I know there are probably a couple sites that come to mind where you'd think they were the Amazon or the Walmart or the TJ Maxx of plans. And as Tim told me when we were talking before the show here, you got to just hunt through the rack and hope you find something that fits. Well, I think Tim and his team have done a great job of curating sets of house plans with Perch. He also built his custom architecture firm in the last recession. And I think there's a lot of parallels to today that we might be able to touch on. So I'm very happy to have on the show, Tim. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Nice to see you. Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. So as we were talking before the show here, you started your custom residential firm in 2009, the last recession. And in these, I hate to use the word uncertain times because it's been beaten to death, but 2020 is an interesting year. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your decision-making process, to start your own firm, and then maybe some of your struggles or experiences then that you might be able to relate to folks starting to build their firms now.
Yeah. So it was late 2009. I was working for a small residential firm in Austin. And I had always known that I wanted to have my own company. It was just when is the right time was unclear. But I had met a potential client through a furniture builder friend. I helped him do a furniture install at their house. And we got talking. I told them I was an architect. They wanted to remodel their house. And I left the firm that I was working for with one client, and I had a $20,000 fee total. So my thought is you've got to be a little naive and just be a little stupid to make it work. Stubborn, I guess I should say. Mm-hmm. So for 8 months, that was my only client. And My wife was like, so how long are we going to do this before you look for something else? But after that 8 months, I was picking up small, like a garage conversion to a bedroom or little tiny projects here and there. And at the end of my first year, I got cold feet and called a friend who firm. He was working by himself at the time. He had one contract worker. And I called him to see if I could do some work with him. So it was kind of that propped me up for the second year I was in business. So I was doing my own work on the side and working with my friend Rick some also. Mm-hmm. But at the end of that second year is when I picked up my first real substantial foundation to finish custom home. And that was the Modern Farmhouse on my website. And I didn't really know that style would take off as much as it did. I think we've had like 6 million pins on Pinterest from that one project. That was completed in 2013. And that really, at first I was resentful about being pigeonholed into that style, but it has really benefited me. Growing up in New England, I speak that language well, that Victorian stick look. But it has been a great catalyst to get my name and my brand recognized, having a specific style like that.
Mm-hmm. And if I may ask, what's the name of that that project on your site here?
It's the Modern Farmhouse. Modern Farmhouse.
Modern Farmhouse. There we go.
Yep.
I've got it up here on the screen too.
Blame that house for everything.
Gotcha. So obviously some growing pains there, and needing to scale back when needed. Had those kind of thoughts entered your mind this year with everything that's going on?
They did briefly. Right when the pandemic started, I thought to myself, I need to scale back. I need to really rein in my monthly expenses, my overhead. But that only lasted for a couple of weeks. I got nervous and thought projects would drop off, but I think we had 11 projects in the office at that time, and only one went away. Mm-hmm. And things have started ramping up a little bit more now. So it was a very short-lived paranoia.
Right. No, I can relate. Only one dried up for me as well.
Yeah.
So then the thought process to start to move from custom homes to something called Perch Plans, how did that all come about?
So when that project, the Modern Farmhouse, finished, we got a lot of traction on social media, and it was the end of 2015. I had received maybe 200 or 300 inquiries about buying that design. And for 2014, 2015, I was telling people, we don't sell custom designs. We want to honor that person and keep that design for that one individual. So the end of 2015, I went to a Cran conference in Detroit, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he started Floyd Furniture Company. Mm-hmm. It's kind of are you familiar with it? It's kind of modular. He had a great story about how his company came about and how he marketed to big box brands to move his product, and they tried to control it. They wanted to make it like the TJ Maxx. Mm-hmm. And it really inspired me to revisit selling designs that we have already created. So I came back, talked with my team about it. We did a lot of research, what was available on the online at that time. And it's exactly what you said. You run into websites. It's like surf through our 10,000 designs. We're not sure who created it, but we'll broker the deal for you. A lot of places offered modifications, but you weren't working with the original creator of that design. So that's how it came about. We started Perch Plans in the summer of 2016. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we didn't sell any for 6 months. In that December, I thought, I'm going to pull this thing down. It's just a waste of money. We wasted time on this, but I sold one in December of 2016. Mm-hmm. And I thought, let's keep it open for a little longer. And then 2017 hit, and we've been selling 3 or 4 designs every month since then.
Wow. And are they true custom? Are they kind of slight modifications to previous designs?
50% of them are conceived just for Perch, but mm-hmm. the other half is a iteration of a design that we had created previously. And it's funny, we have a zip code restriction just to keep these unique where the customer builds them.
Interesting.
But only about 10% of people that buy designs from us do not make modifications. Most people change. We've had customization packages from a $500 change to a $18,000 change where they're revamping the whole thing.
Interesting.
So very few of them remain what they are originally.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting to hear that.
Yeah, it's not
a $3,000 plan with an $18,000 change order.
Right. I mean, that's maybe 2 or 3 a year. It's not a common thing to be that much, but it's not as passive as you'd think. It's rare where we get a sale. So we use an e-commerce site to host the site and do all the transactional things through. It's rare that we get notified that someone has bought it without talking to us first.
Oh, is that okay? It's not it's not purely an online purchase. Well,
no.
That rolls actually really nicely into my next point, and I started to peek through your checkout process, and that you can provide site planning.
Yep.
Did not know about the zip code restriction, but now that makes sense. You want to be able to travel there and have some sort of say in
sure
some sort of hand in it. Are most folks taking you up on site planning or that kind of consultation?
I don't know the percentage exactly, but I'd say it's about half. Okay. Half of our customers want some type of help. A lot of them go on rural sites, so it's like 2 acres and up. So a lot of people like to give us a site plan and have us look on Google Earth at where the tree line is, if there's topography, and just get some assistance siting the house.
Gotcha. When you were having those initial discussions with your team, was there any pushback from, I guess the best word I can use is the craft of architecture? I've seen it in a couple different online forums, probably somewhere on Facebook, that making site planning an optional add-on or taking site planning out of it altogether is, like it's gutting the art of architecture, where the form is supposed to respond to the site that it's placed on. Did that enter your thoughts at all?
It did. And for about 4 months prior to creating the company, I was talking to colleagues and friends here in town, and everybody said, well, not everybody, most architects that I talked to said that it was dumbing down the craft. And there's 2 schools of thought. Some people think you need to go all in and make it this completely bespoke item that you're creating, but other people want to create architecture for the masses. So I kind of straddle both camps. I think there should be a specific intent for every person when you can do it, but I also think we shouldn't let the production builders of the world decide the majority of the aesthetic and quality of homes that are being created. So I did have that knowledge going into it that most of my colleagues were against it. It's funny, we have a small firms roundtable at our AIA chapter here once a month. And in 2017, when things were rolling well for Perch, I spoke at one of those luncheons, and a lot of those people I talked to showed up and asked how they could do the same thing. So their mind changed when you can see the profitability in it, but also the way it's executed is not a marketplace atmosphere. It's we try very hard to have people feel like they are sitting with the architect and the team that created that product, and they can make it their own.
And that stems from you having such a curated collection of of 4. Do those rotate out ever, or is it these are the 4 that you've
Not
got?
not yet. So we have 8 on the site right now, and we
Okay.
initially wanted to do 2 sets of 4 each
Oh.
year, but it is quite difficult to create, get the renderings, have the marketing team put everything together on the website,
Mm-hmm.
and release that. So last year I hired an employee who is the director of Perch, that it's her job to focus on that specifically. Before that, it was my custom architecture team that did this as a side job. So we hope to get a little better at creating product and releasing it. But we haven't talked about taking anything off of the website yet. There's just not enough selection there to do that.
I would tend to agree that eight's a pretty good number to have. It's I think it's good luck in the Chinese culture too. So
Good.
I like the number.
I didn't know that, but awesome. It worked.
I feel like the number that's been kicked around is only 3% of homes are fully custom designed by architects, whether that's in the States or whether that's globally. It's probably just in the States. But there's this huge, between the production builders and custom architecture, there's a huge need that needs to be filled, even if it's with a $500 change order. It's still promoting the profession. So
it's interesting. So we've had a chance to step into that developer production home builder world because of Perch. Our work was being recognized outside of just Texas, and Perch was the catalyst. So we've picked up work with developers in Florida, in Michigan, and we've done a couple homes in Nebraska. The first house that we did the video on the homepage of Perch is Bainbridge Island in Washington.
Okay.
So we're having an impact on the development world because of Perch, if that makes sense.
That's something interesting to touch on. As you're talking to these developers, are you, and just to take the first one on the site, I'll take the Alderney, are you providing Alderney 1, 2, 3 for these developers?
So when a developer comes to us, the zip code restriction applies to an individual buying it. If a developer wants to purchase it, and before the project is completed, there's an agreement. All of the homeowners buying that home know that it will be possibly repeated in that neighborhood. The zip code restriction doesn't apply. But the developments that we've done so far, we've created specific collections for them that are not available on the website. So we have those projects are slotted to be future collections on the website, but we want the developer to get those established first, and then we'll release them in the next couple of years.
I did notice that you provide manual J counts.
Yes.
So do you provide structural as well, or because you're so
absolutely not?
Is it absolutely not?
Absolutely not. Yeah, we have
on the homeowner.
Large disclaimers on everything that say you need to engage local professionals for permitting, for code restrictions as far as insulation values, things like that, snow load, and we do not provide any structural.
Are you modifying your manual J based on modifications that the homeowner is making to the layouts? Or is that on their HVAC?
No, each one is specific. We have an energy professional that we work with. So he has all of the original designs, and he uses RightSoft. So he has all of the original designs already created, and then we give him the modified design. He'll modify the manual J. So it's specific for their location and their specific design.
The structural licensing state to state would certainly make a difference.
But, and we with the manual J's, we don't specify equipment. It's just a BTU load requirement. Right. So we don't say you have a furnace or a heat pump or anything like that. It's just the BTU loads.
What you mentioned before, if not on the show here, then before that your workload was growing. What's your outlook for 2020?
I see people looking for alternative solutions to like I had told you before, a lot of people are doing weekend homes outside of the city, and I see a lot of motivation to make that their permanent house now. So we work in Austin, but we do a lot of work, custom work outside of Austin in the country. And I see that more. I think the creativeness and the innovation that people have found in this situation showed where there was a reluctance before, they see the possibilities and the convenience now. And I think our work situation will be forever changed because of this. So it opens up more rural possibilities for living. That's my take.
Gotcha. Would that ever trigger an expansion of your zip code restrictions?
I know.
No. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come on come on the show and share a little about how you've developed these two companies. I think it's a great fit, certainly for the marketplace today, but just in general, and kind of expanding the reach of the profession and the knowledge of the average home buyer and homeowner. So thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, my pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, take care. Any more questions or comments for Tim or for myself, you can drop them here in the comments, or you can shoot me a direct message, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram at Jake Krakowski. And of course, until next week, go out and make it a great week, because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast.